Okay, here we go again. I think I resolved stuttering problem, and that's I have done few things at once. But first thing was setting the lower quality of the sound in the system. I was using 32 bits and 96 kilohertz. Now I set 24 bits and 48 kilohertz, and in the graphics I choose the default, which is mix of high and ultra, but I would set that for the ultra just for fun and see how it goes. I played the first episode just before, and yeah, we are gonna test it again. Let me turn this off. We're gonna play the prologue again. I want you to focus on few things. First one is using of the GPU. It's the second mark over there, and this is the using of the CPU, usage of the CPU, because something is really off. Yeah, we could. But I notice I don't use the FSR or anything like this, and there is some shimmering or ghosting. Look at the shadows. This is the most irritating what I observed. Grayness of shadows. I can't explain how it is happening. I have disabled denoiser. Maybe I'll put this on back again. That was here. On the default, it's on the low. But with that setting on, I see shimmering around the hairs. Still, look at the GPU and CPU usage. I almost forgot. I have done one more thing. That was in the settings of the audio. I have disabled here the surround mode. I have disabled completely. I read somewhere. It might help, and it seems to help. I'm also not sure why on the previous video the sound from the game didn't record it at all. Maybe that was the case also.
Masz pojęcie, co tam się dzieje? Zdążyłem zauważyć.
Hej.
Hej, skarbie. Jak się czujesz?
Dobrze. Może włączymy radio?
Tak, jasne.
Dzięki.
Wysiadły komórki. Radio. Po prostu super. Przed chwilą speaker gadał jak najęty. Mówił, gdzie jechać. Mówił, że wojsko rozstawia blokady na autostradzie. Nie wjedziemy do hrabstwa Travis. Musimy stąd spadać. Pojedź 71, tak wiem.
Powiedzieli, ilu nie żyje?
Pewnie dużo. Znalazłem całą rodzinę zmasakrowaną. Tommy! Tak. Przepraszam. Chryste, jak to się stało? Nie wiadomo. W innych miastach nie jest lepiej. Na początku mówili, że chorują tylko ludzie na południu. Teraz podają, że we wszystkich stanach. Cholera. To farma Luisa.
And this is the area where the biggest stutter have started previously.
Ten sam cholerny pomysł. Może moglibyśmy się cofnąć? Kurwa mać. Zawracaj. Tommy! Tommy! Ja pierdolę.
Right now I want to verify if this might be the case of the recording.
Skręć tutaj. Nie. Ruszcie się, ludzie.
Przed czym oni uciekają?
Zabierz nas stąd, staram się.
O nie.
Nie możemy się tu zatrzymać, Tommy.
Przejadę przez nich do chuja!
Szybko, wycofaj!
Są też za nami!
Tam!
Trzymajcie się!
Jedź!
Oh yeah, that might be case of some setting or the recording in the background. But look at the CPU usage and GPU usage. In time of this drop, it was completely unused. What might be the case?
Uważaj!
Maybe something in the background of the system?
Tatusio? Hej. Hej!
Wracaj, skarbie, wracaj.
As I say, before I started recording, I played this level and didn't have any single stutter.
Tato?
Jestem tu, skarbie. Jestem. Podaj mi rękę. Co się stało?
Noga mnie boli.
Mocno.
I to mocno.
Musimy uciekać!
Osłaniaj nas. Chodź, łąko. Trzymaj się mnie.
Tato, boję się.
Zamknij oczy, skarbie.
Ci ludzie się palą.
Patrz na mnie, skarbie.
Dobrze.
Wszystko będzie dobrze. Obiecuję.
Uciekajcie, ich jest za dużo! Tędy! Alejką!
Nie żyje! Cholera! Zaraz będziemy na miejscu. Za momencik.
Przechodzą przez płot! Nie zatrzymujcie się, szukajcie wyjścia! Dalej! Joel! Ruchy! Dotrzyjcie do autostrady! Idź, ty masz Sarę, ja im ucieknę!
Wujku Tommy?
Spotkamy się tam.
Szybko!
Tato, nie możemy go zostawić.
Nic mi nie będzie. Jeszcze kawałeczek.
Doganiają nas. Tato?
Okay. Right now I don't really understand what is happening. The game ran more smooth than before, but there were some stutters and I am really confused what's causing it. It might be some background application but I really don't use much of those applications. I use only the voice meter and Steam and some hardware monitoring. Now, I really don't understand what is happening, but we obviously saw dip in the GPU usage and the CPU usage where the game have almost stopped for a few seconds. So there might be something interfering from this software. And I wanted to show you one more thing. You might want to decrease the volume of the video because I don't know how loud will the intro be. I'm not sure why it's launching in that low resolution in the menu, but yeah. That's pretty loud. I guess 3 or 4 or 5 parts of the Forza is enough to fix this. How many tests of the FSR you saw or the DLSS you saw in the Forza Horizon? I guess plenty. But did any of those tests show you interior camera? Yes, and this is something I wanted to focus today mainly. And this is DLSS, FSR, all the upscaling techniques, and ray tracing overdrive. Yeah, this is gonna be long video, but if my PC will allow, I'll try to cut this as possible. Probably already know that a lot of content creators and portals, PC portals, might use some marketing of the companies that Nvidia and AMD or Intel are. And some of those materials they create are clearly sponsored. They might not mark this on the material itself, but this is clearly sponsored, and you can know why it's sponsored, when it's sponsored. They won't show any negative impact of those functions, and there are clearly negative functions. So right now I want to show you FSR because I don't have Nvidia GPU. I saw it, sell it. That was RTX 3080. But there are no benefits without compromises. There is always some compromises, and I simply can't believe when the people say that upscaling image is better than native. I can understand that statement for some sort, because the upscaling works as the AA, a little bit. Very simplified, but AA, anti-aliasing. Just logical if you have less details in the lower resolution and it algorithm try to reconstruct it in the bigger resolution, there is always, I repeat, always loss of the detail. You can't bypass this. So if anyone is saying that DLSS or FSR, those upscaling techniques, are better than native, just don't believe it. I wanted to show you one thing that all the reviewers, I don't know, I don't have a possibility to test this on the DLSS, but people say it doesn't happen with the DLSS. I have no way to test it. What is going on in the interior camera, inside the car? Because everyone showed the external camera. I don't know if they think people don't use the internal camera or what, cockpit camera, but you're gonna see what I'm about.
Welcome back, Michael.
We have some random car. It happened on the every car. Oh, they have added something, but I really don't want to. I can't just push escape. Okay. So, what is... Whoa. What is very important when you use internal camera inside the car? The rear view mirror. That. Because when you use the internal camera, your field of view is and overall situation awareness is much smaller. But the biggest, biggest positive about this camera is faster reaction for the corners. Yeah. So this is how it looks without FSR. Now we're gonna turn on FSR. Yeah. I can't recreate it right now, maybe they patched it. There was very lot of ghosting, especially at the night. The amount of those ghosting was that big that you can't see anything in the night race. We are not gonna try to win, obviously, we are on the keyboard. They might patched it that this was completely ignored by the reviewers because everyone just missed the cockpit camera. One of the obvious downsides of any upscaler is the grain. Grain that shows in the smaller distance. It's not the night. I thought I launched the night race. Yeah, they have corrected it. So there is nothing to show right now, as I see. But yeah, they still haven't corrected those flares. But that's the other topic. Those red flares. So I wanted to show you, if this is no more the case, I wanted to show you something in the Cyberpunk. Before I start, I wanted to show you my settings for the game. This is with the Radeon Super Resolution. So, now before checking the settings, just try to tell yourself what settings am I using. So look at the FPS counter. I remind you, this is the RX 6800 XT. It runs rather nice, yes? Doesn't look the ugliest. There are game glitches that was always present, like the V glasses that doesn't apply to the window reflections. But tell me right now, if this is Rarity Overdrive reflections or the RT reflections, how does it look to you? We are seeing reflection of this building. Yeah, this building. How does it look to you? Now, this is my settings. This is the settings that I can very comfortable play 60 FPS. With the basic resolution set to FHD and upscaled via the control panel of the AMD without changing anything further. I wanted to test. Don't mind the performance, but look at these reflections. Is this really that much difference in those reflections? Once again, why? Okay. Now, what did you hear when everyone was testing the RT overdrive? Reflections look like better and all that stuff. I don't know. For me, maybe I'm blind, but reflections look exactly the same. Here's the fast travel. Yeah, well, I think I saw fast travel, yes. So we are now on the Morrow Street. We're gonna, of course, where is it? Maybe that was those resolutions, I don't know. But as for me, this isn't perfectly flat and clear surface, so there should not be perfect, perfect reflection. And it isn't. But did you notice anything that I saw on every possible video around RT overdrive? If you move camera even slightest and stop, there is noise, big noise of the RT denoiser, and disappear when you stop for a few seconds. Now, here we got some good example. You see this? That might be some difference, but I'm really not sure if it is. So where we can see those biggest differences? Yeah, kurwa mać. Here. I play with the RT without those RT lighting. There is one big reason behind it, but let's just look at this static image when I move. Look at those floor reflections, okay? You see it? Do you see this big noise as when your TV lost the signal on all full floor, just like with some, you know, light rain will stop to fall. It all disappear if I stay in place. There is really big grain, no noise, or I don't know how to call it, but this is the noise of the denoiser. It just can't keep up. And I have noticed this on the RTX 4070 Ti videos. And everyone was just shocked how good, not bad, how good it is looking. So tell me, even on the normal RT reflections, you can see some noises, but they are much smaller. And for me, I repeat it, I don't know if I'm blind or something, but those reflections look exactly the same. Maybe there are some small details, improvements, like some, I don't know, number of the lights reflections. Maybe there will be no light in this reflection, I don't know. Yeah, there is this big difference. You can see this. Wait. Which light is it? Do you see it? There are 2 points of the lights, while I see 1. Oh, okay. So there are 2 lights. Holy crap, that input lag is just terrible. There are just 2 lights, and with the normal RT... Oh, we still see it. So I don't know. Maybe there is some magic behind it, but maybe they just using, they try to use placebo effect on you. Yeah, there is always that penalty that denoiser effects. It doesn't matter how big the frame rate, how big the resolution is, there is always that denoiser. Even on stock reflections from the RT. Now we're gonna try something a little bit different. I have showed you this on some videos from the Cyberpunk. We are playing now at 50. Oh, there is a rain. Who could guess it? There is a rain, so we can test the reflections on the surface automatically. Yeah, this is not the best place for testing this. Oh, that might be the better angle. They look really different. According to my motion, something is off, but don't forget this is road. Not the mirror, this is the road, asphalt. So as before, everything is shining and grainy. But without the RT overdrive, reflections look the same for me. There there are the same downsides and all that stuff. But let me show you one more thing. This is connected to the shadows. I mean those big ghosting. It's happened even without upscaling technologies, which turn everything on ultra. It's still not that bad, yeah? 30 FPS. But there is a reason behind it. I don't use it daily. It's gonna be most visible on the dark areas, and this is somehow connected to the cyberpunk anti-aliasing somehow. But I tried disable it via red engine tweaks, and this is smaller but it's still here. Yeah, last I have to disable the RT shadows, I guess, so you can see it more clearly. Yeah, now you can see it. Follow the front wheel of the car. See how big trail it leaves. This is much smaller than before on 6.2 patch, but there is still that trail. It's just like I would drive in some wild states. Now, enable this RT overdrive. It should now enable all the RT effects all along. We got 2 peak performance. Is it enabled? Maybe that's because it's Badlands. Yeah, but that's the best place to test it. And look, there is still that ghosting. Oil stain from the front wheels. If I will move faster, there is also ghosting from the under the car. You can see the wheel, just like the SSAO effects will just ghost. They are static like extra wheels shadows. Oh, you can see this more over here. This is also connected to the denoiser. It have tougher work if it have to work with the dark objects and the dark background. There is ghosting as hell under the car. And it won't need to be some big trouble. You can notice it in the city after every traffic cut. I have noticed this on the RTX 4080. It was the time that I made my decision that I finally sell this card. Because I noticed these effects on those ghostings in every possible RT game and discovered this is just the RT works. But this is just my decision, I'm not telling you to do this. But there are some misperfections that cannot be ignored, and people on the reviews say only about the positives. And then you finally decide to buy the GPU for, I don't know, $1,000 US dollars, and discovering something like that. And what would you do if you're totally green in terms of techniques? I guess you would assume you have broken GPU. So you are writing, time is going, your time to return the product is ending, and you are left with these glitches. Right now we are gonna test Psycho. RT Psycho. It should be acceptable performance out here in Badlands. Right now we are gonna see how it looks on the native resolution with the acceptable performance, because everything with 30 plus FPS is acceptable with the full ray tracing, especially in native resolution. So we're gonna use the native resolution of my screen. I hope we are still in the Badlands. Now I forgot, I got the RT overdrive or stuck. Upside. There is big ghosting behind the car with every light. Now let me ask you something. RT overdrive can kill the RTX 4090 performance up to what, 12 or 11 FPS, yes, is it correct? Yeah, you can help yourself the fake frames or DLSS. That is correct also. But what about when the next generation of the GPU will come and the NVIDIA will introduce fake frames 2.0 or DLSS 4.0, and it will be locked only to new generation cards. And after this, they will release update for the off tracing, because this is, you should notice, this is technology preview. This is not the final version. And as far as I know, there are 2 light traces currently used in this. So if they're gonna introduce the new series of the GPU and gonna increase the number of rays traced, and even the RTX 4090 is gonna struggle to run at 30 FPS, it will be forced to do, of course, to upgrade the GPU, or don't use the RT, or use the classic RT. So I'm still thinking, what's the point of chasing after the RT at the current state, if this is clearly all the technology preview. I have stopped and we still got double mirrors. No, this is not the mirror, this is my head. So yeah, nice details. This is just a cyberpunk in the end, you should not forget. So right now, whoa, crap. I couldn't evade it even if I want to. I really don't know what is going on, really. This is the 7 FPS, I have massive input lag. Able to say we got the best GPU for the ray tracing. I think this time will be when we will be able to run ray tracing in the 60 FPS at the mid-tier GPU with without any upscaling techniques. This will be the time when I personally would consider ray tracing in the GPU purchase decision. The Last of Us. And what we could notice in this game. First, most of the effects from the Unreal Engine, from the RT, without actually using RT or Unreal Engine. So is it really that limited function, so you need to use the NVIDIA hardware to play comfortable at 60 FPS? I guess not. And with all respect, I can understand that those reflection looks amazing, but they are not looking better. So what's the point of this video? I wanted to make you more aware of the marketing wars, because we can call it clearly like that. Marketing wars. NVIDIA is chasing with the AMD who's got the better GPU, who's got the better this and that. But in the end, what would you like to see in the games? We've got ray tracing as it is right now. We've got patch tracing, which is gonna be what? New target for the NVIDIA. And they are gonna be chasing the NF patch tracing with also locked technologies behind the NVIDIA only. Or maybe you would want to see more open world, destructible environment, or better AI in the games. You know, you haven't probably played, or maybe you were, games like Battlefield 2, World War 3, or most of those World War 2 games, multiplayer games, post-scriptum and all that stuff. And you probably, at least once, if you played like games like this, or even Squad or something like that, you probably was driving the heavy vehicle, even the tank, and you have stuck on the road sign. Isn't that obvious that this part of the games need much more improvement? In my opinion, this should be the priority, because this part of the game worlds really is standing in one place and isn't evolving since 10 years. We've got Frostbite, we've got Unreal Engine 5, which introduces something like that. But what about other engines? The AI in the games is you probably know I have played Arma 3, the military simulation game, and that was just if you stand the Arma 3 next to the Cyberpunk, you will clearly see and say Cyberpunk is fully finished game. That's how it look. Arma 3 was totally mistake in my opinion. I have played, I can show you this. I spent a lot of the time in the Arma 3. That's my time of the game. This is more than 1,000 hours. But only say that AI in the games, especially like Arma or even Mafia or GTA, is really weak. They can't see you from the close distance, they view angles are very limited, they don't hear you, they don't hear the shots or obvious sounds like there are two guys staying in front of you, they are enemies, and you down one of them, and the second one don't hear the one falling on the ground. I know this is games that should be entertainment and shouldn't be too hard, but there are some games that, should be more demanding from the player, and there is big field of improvements to do in those games. And in terms of the AI and ray tracing, we've got now ray tracing. We've got now games that will require more VRAM. I see there is a big war in the comments on the various materials on the YouTube that 8 GB is enough, 8 GB isn't enough, you're gonna need to replace and all that stuff. I can only advise you, if you already have 8 GB VRAM GPU, to just stay with it. Stay with it, and there will be always some tricks and tweaks to the games, not official, that will allow you to, bypass the game requirements. And if finally, few months after some game release, there will be no tweaks and everything is gonna fail, then you can think about replacing your GPU. Right now, if you have, I don't know, 6 GB VRAM and you are deciding to buy new one, then buy something with the more VRAM, even 60. Why? Because if you're buying new GPU, why are you doing this? To maximize settings in the games, right? To play comfortable with around 60 FPS plus. These are the basic targets if you're buying new GPU. So if you buy, I don't know, 12 GB VRAM cards, you can not be very happy if some new gen games will come out, will be released. And I say about games, with PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X in mind only. Of course, there will be some games that will have smaller requirements, like Stalker 2. I'm waiting for this game also. There will be some testing of this game. But most of the games will require more VRAM. And why is that? We have to focus on the games right now. Games for that era was not very demanding in terms of VRAM, because most of them was cross-gen. These games were released on the PlayStation 4, on the PlayStation 5, and PC ports was made 50-50 from one or from two console. So the requirements for VRAM was limited. Now when consoles have 60 GB RAM, it's shared memory for the VRAM and RAM, but you can't, when you're porting the game from the console to PC, you can't just put the game requirements one-to-one from the console to PC. So in the past, in the history, with every cross-gen end for the games, we saw big improvements in system requirements, big gains. I mean, everything was growing very fast, and this is normal behavior, but there is also few more factors. The selling of the GPUs right now is very slow. Nvidia have problems selling the GPUs, and AMD have problems selling the GPUs. But after the cryptocurrency craziness, I think a lot of you have noticed with the current gen GPUs that they don't want to sell more GPUs for less money, but their target is selling less GPUs for more money. You know what I mean? They want to sell, you can see how big the price is for the 4080 GPU, RTX 4080, and how not big difference is between the 7900 XTX. This is not by mistake. This is really predicted marketing and what they do. You all know Nvidia and AMD are sponsoring some titles. The number of those titles are increasing. Those games will require more VRAM. That's more than sure. I guess I can see it this way. AMD most strongest side is VRAM capability. Nvidia is RT, of course, but they want to sell RTX 4080 very hard. They have sent those cards for many YouTubers, many portals in past week. That was really big number of channels on the YouTube, reviewers and all that stuff. So they invested, and they will slowly but steady increase the game requirements for the VRAM, because 4080 have 60 gigabytes of VRAM, yes? Then there are 4070 Ti with 20 gigabytes of VRAM, and there are lowest ends 4060 and 4060 Ti with only 8 gigabytes of VRAM, but just see how they cut the memory bus. How they cut memory bus. This is the 4060, and 4060 Ti is just 4050. They simply moved the, naming. Naming just moved one place higher. So those cards will be entry level, just like the 4050. 4070 is 4060, and 4080 is 4070. But the prices, you see those prices, right? Yeah, that's just the one big change of the GPU market, and believe me, the VRAM requirements will rise, but the real rising of the requirements you will see in next 2 years. You see, AMD, not by mistake, they put 20 gigabytes in the 7900 XT. Look what they done to RDNA 2. They put 60 gigabytes on the GPUs. What is it now after 2 years? You can see some yellow or red light, warning light behind your head. This might not be enough soon, because they want you to replace the GPU every 2 generations. If they put it 20 gigabytes on the VRAM on the cards, in next 2 years probably that's gonna be for 2K resolution. So I leave you with this sentence in the end. I wanted to ask you for some comments. So your comments are nicely welcome. You can dislike or like this video, and I see you in the next one.